Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. We played that back a little bit to wait for everyone to come on. And welcome to our episode, Tuna Checky TV. Hello, how are you guys? To our normal fans, we missed you. Pleasure to have you back. So today's episode is all about reclaiming our dignity when it comes to menstruation. Although more than half of the world uh, population experiences it or is currently going through it or hasn't had but will have a menstrual cycle. It's still considered a taboo topic in many areas with its own myths connected. This episode today, we are going to talk about our periods, our situations that we've experienced, and traumas that we may have had. That being said, we have a special guest today. Her name is Sadia Hussein. Sorry, she is a CEO and founder of the BSI Kenya FGM Savior Champion Women's Right Activist Advocate. Sorry, author of The Hidden Scars of FGM and the New Dawn of Children. She holds a bachelor's degree in business management, human resource options from the East African University. She's won many awards, including Queen Elizabeth's Point of Light, President Ururo Recognition Award, and Heroine. She's achieved 4 FGM free villages and saved girls from the knife. I'm pleasure and my honor to introduce our guest today, Miss Hussein, first and foremost. Okay. Hello. I would also like to say that we have a special show to introduce some of our our girls. We have Leah out there in the background helping us out. We'll pop her in and out. She's doing her thing, but we do have a new girl we want to showcase and send some love with and having this conversation. So I'm going to throw her in. I'm going to have her say her name, but look up because I'm letting you in. How you doing? All right. And so I
Hi,
just
thank you.
hi. So I just wanted to open up with thank you, you guys, and let's talk about our periods and the taboos connected and the stories around it. I am from America. I'm Haitian American, though we have our stories in Haiti that I can relate to. But in America, we live in a different world. Also, when I stop real quick, everybody that is watching, connected and scrolling down below us. We are also running a fundraiser during this event. We would like to raise enough to send sanitation napkins, reusable sanitation napkins to Tanzania and different countries throughout the diaspora to help young girls, young women, in dealing with the same taboos that they have to deal with and the injustices they have to deal with in connecting and getting proper sanitation equipment. So that being said, let me let you take over our wonderful guest, and you get to just let us, our audience, know about you and what brings you with our plights and your plight.
Okay.
Hello.
Honor to meet you. So let the audience know about you a little bit.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm Ayomide Ruth Oluwagbenga. I'm a Yoruba woman from Nigeria, and I'm so proud to be an African woman because it gives us more rooms for discussion. We have better opportunities. Like we are coming out in this age, so talking about menstrual health, period, poverty, and this issue is very important for us to participate in because we are women and we must know more about this to be better women. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. And great to have you today. And to our guests of honor, if you would please introduce yourself to our audience. I'm going to bring in our background girl just so she can introduce herself and then bring her back out. But I would love our guest to let the audience know about herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sadia Hussein from Kenya. So I'm an FGM survivor. I went through FGM, that is. So I'm a mother of 3 beautiful daughters who have not gone through FGM and they will never go through it. And I am the CEO of Brighter Society Initiative. Above all, I am someone who advocates for the rights of women and girls, and I'm passionate about it.
Yes. Can you explain FGM for people like me that are ignorant to it?
Okay, FGM means female genital mutilation. It is the
Okay.
total or partial removal of female external genitalia for non-medical reasons. So most of the time, people, confuse with circumcision. It's not circumcision because some
Right.
circumcision is just for the male. For female, you are not supposed to touch her organ. Why? Because women are created perfect and complete. No addition, no subtraction. Thank you.
Right. And you know what? I'm coming from the medical field. That I feel like that's that. I didn't know I should know the abbreviation, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, Now, speaking that you're a survivor, I would love to hear that story. I'm just going to give Leah a second to just say hi to our audience. She's in the background doing our work today, but I just want to give our audience a little heads up to a face they remember as well. Just say hi for us. Just say hi. Just say hi for us. I, right. I just wanted you to say hi. That's it to the audience.
Okay, well, hi
That's
everybody.
it.
Good morning,
Hi,
good
audience.
afternoon. I'll let you bring on our other
Yep,
sister who's waiting in the
that's it.
background, and
I
then I'll
just
catch up
wanted
with
the
everybody later. So,
yep,
enjoy the show, and I'll catch up with you
yep.
all later.
Thank you. That's it. I appreciate it. I just wanted you guys to know she's here. So, but we do appreciate all the work she does in the background. And I just always want to give her a little special shout out because she's amazing work. We have some new girls as well. I just want to add to the stream to have this conversation, especially with the mutilization of women organ and just the connectivity of how we've all gone through a period, right? So we have another new girl that I would like to introduce the audience to in this discussion. You're also going to pronounce her name for me because we're new. And I would like you just to give you a little quick introduction about yourself. And so we can jump right into the conversation.
Okay, hi guys. I am Malsita Sepamo from Lesotho. I am a proud African woman and I'm very happy to be part of this show today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Alicia, I think I'm seeing. Is that you? Don't mind me, I'm blind too. Can you introduce
Thank
yourself to the
you.
audience? There may be a little bit of the delay.
Hmm?
Oh no, no, no. I was seeing for our next I think it's Alicia. There may be a little bit of a delay. So that
Oh,
being
yeah.
said, yeah, so that being said, going back to the story of
Okay.
I just want to go with I don't FGM. Did I say that? Female genital mutilization, right? Right? Explain that story to me and going through that as a young girl. Like I don't that needs to be told.
Okay, it's female genital mutilation. So,
FGM.
yeah, FGM.
Okay.
So, what happened is that no one prepares you for the pain. When FGM happened to me, I was a little girl. I was 10 years old, and I never had the voice to say no. Um,
Mm,
Basically, I was really excited to go through FGM because for me, I thought it is something that I should be proud of. It is my culture, it's my religion. It's something that I should go through so that I can be able to interact and play with other girls, because most of the time you are being stigmatized, you're discriminated. Other girls will never allow you to play with them. It becomes, uh, so sad for you to be able to even school and all that. The trauma is too high for you. So for me, I really wanted to also be part of other girls. I really wanted to go through FGM. So I was excited about it. But unfortunately, uh, contrary to the stories the girls tell you, you're not clean, you cannot play with us, blah, blah, blah. That was just a narrative. Because what happened to me was the contrary. I expected maybe perhaps I would be washed, there is water involved, there is soap involved. But unfortunately, early in the morning, my mother told me it's your day. So today you are going to be clean, you are going to be complete like other girls. So it's your day. And I said, Alhamdulillah, this is okay. But when we went to the bush, the first thing that I saw is a razor blade. And at that time, I don't even have time to ask questions, because now women are prepared. There are other women, like my relatives, my aunts, and the cutter was my grandmother actually. So for me, I was worried. Some, rags that were, made like a rope, something like that. They had some coffee berries that they usually burn after, the practice. A lot of issues that they do, but for me, I was shocked to see the razor and I couldn't ask questions. So they undressed me and I was laid on the, on the ground. There was a mother, there was a woman who was holding me, holding my head. Another one was holding, my legs, my hands apart. Someone else was trying to put a piece of cloth into my mouth, and it was just horrible, to be precise. As a young girl, I was struggling to scream, like I want to scream, but I can't, because uh, at the end of the day, there is a piece of cloth into my mouth. I want to shout to the world, but I can't. I couldn't do anything at all. So what happened is that after they, I could just feel some of them pressing my chest down to the ground, and I'm like, oh God, what is happening? And I just pray to God that, oh God, please save me from these women. But at the end of the day, my mom went hiding. There is no one I could talk to. And I could feel the sharp cuttings. I could feel, the pain, but I cannot cry. So later on, after they finished, and it's not something that they just cut and leave you. They have to cut like this side, that side, and you don't know actually what they're cutting. It's your flesh going. So now you can tell me if you perhaps cut accidentally your hand, the kind of pain you can feel. Now here you are, your genitalia being chopped off, like cut like a piece of meat, and you are just there, no anesthesia, no painkillers, nothing, just you and those women. So after that, they had to stand me upright. They used some medical herbs which I don't know. um, After that, they had to tie me now from the waist to the toes, because for them they believe that you have to stitch together completely. They leave you with a tiny hole just for urine. And after 2 hours is when I started feeling the pain. It was just horrible. Then my mother came to me. I had to ask her, Mom, why did you do this to me? For me, I wanted to be clean. I thought you are going to wash me. But at that time already my temperatures have risen. I could shiver. I am feeling a lot of pain, you know, and I was helpless. I was laid on a small skin, But my mother told me, Saadia, this is what you wanted. Unfortunately, it's irreversible. At that time, it has already happened. There is nothing I can do. So I had to heal. When I went back to school, I had to question, girls. But why do you encourage other girls to go through this trauma, through this horrible thing? Why don't you even tell us that whatever you are about to go through is just painful. Because for me, it took me 2 months to heal. And from there, I thought
Oh,
maybe it's over, it's done. FGM is just over now, you know. But unfortunately, the complications follow you all your life. Because once you are married, for us, we go through infibulation. Once you are married, you have to be reopened again. For others, today, the topic we are going to discuss is about menstrual hygiene. For others, they experience a lot of period cramps, a lot of period pain, simply because the space is too narrow for blood, for the clothes to pass and all that. It's really
yep. No, I'm glad please keep going, just because that's why I wanted to bring this up, because then that's how it's going to correlate to what do you go through as a youth going through menstruation with dealing with that, because I have my own situations, but I just want to hear, because then there's menstruation, there's intercourse, there's childbirth, but right now menstruation, what do you have to go through with that type of trauma in that region?
okay. With the menstruation, allow me to talk the FGM part and also the other realities on the ground. So with menstruation, for girls who have gone through infibulation, FGM type 3 of FGM, that is, they really face a lot of pain. Reason being, the space is too narrow. It's too tiny for even urine to pass. So you can imagine the clothes, the blood to come, the flow is really tampered with. Because right now we have girls who, when they start, the menstrual, process, they have to be taken to hospital for them to be injected with painkillers. Why? Because they cannot withstand the pain. It's too much for them. Others, with the rurals who cannot access, the injection costs and all that, what happens is that mothers warm some water, they put it in a plastic, then they have to place it on the abdomen, so that maybe if, perhaps for them, they believe it makes the clothes, become liquid, and then it can flow naturally, which for some girls it's horrible for them. Now with the other, in regards to how the rural girls are coping with menstrual hygiene in totality, some girls cannot access, sanitary pads, and it's horrible. I think from the county I come from was the most marginalized before the devolution. So some girls were reported even to be using holes in the bush when they're menstruating. And menstruation is a natural God-gifted thing that every woman should have. It's a normal thing, that it's a biological thing in life. But in my county, these girls have to like opt to go to the bush, perhaps like some it seems like you are sick and you are not sick. Why? Because they cannot have access to the pads, so that they can be able to keep themselves, um, properly. So what happens is that it's really painful and sad stories from the ground. Those are the realities, and I have really lobbied for reusable parts most of the time, and given to some of the most vulnerable girls from those regions. But again, it's never enough, because period is coming every month. Poverty is there with us. We have a lot of young girls who cannot afford. Some of them are tricked by men so that they can be able to purchase the pads and all that. Unfortunately, they now fall into another trap of becoming pregnant. And it's just horrible altogether. So women were not supposed to suffer. It's not our fault to be women. Actually, we are women so that we will be able to change the life for good, not to be victims all the time. So for me, back to FGM, um, after the menstruation period and all this, you get married. Now you have to be reopened again, so that you can be able to be intimate with your husband and all that. Then you feel now that you are reopened, everything is over. But again, the problem starts during childbirth. Again, another complication. For me, what made me become a champion is actually because of my first daughter. When I was giving birth, it was hell. I was in labor for three days. Um, the head is coming out. I gave birth at home, but because of space, she couldn't come out. Because my daughter was affected, and I always say FGM does not only affect the mother or the survivor, it also affects the unborn baby. Why? Because of the space, the child is struggling to come out. You know, the scars have to be cut. So you have to be cut and cut and cut for the baby to come out. And before the baby comes out, it's already tired. And God has not created us to be that way. God has created us perfectly well. But now, because of our hands, we have to suffer. Our babies have to suffer. And it is suffering after suffering. As long as you are continuing to give birth, you have to be cut. You go to hospital, they have to use a pair of scissors. They have to cut you like two ways. Now, at some point, some mothers lose their life. Sometimes we lose the unborn children. Sometimes we even lose both of them together. And that's why we have the high maternal death rates and infant rates. So FGM complications are really, really many, and I cannot just mention all of them. There are women who lost their dignity because of fistula. There are men, divorce them because now they have fistula. Remember, you are going through FGM because of a man. Now, when you have a lot of complications, the same man will leave you, walk away, divorce you, and you went through all this because of him. So it's really painful. And this is the time that, like, women should reclaim their dignity and say it's enough. We don't have to go through FGM. Period. Poverty should end. Why? Because the government should make it free for all the girls to access sanitary pads. We really need to make sure that girls do not become victims because of periods. We have to ensure that women and children are not victims of culture and religion, because FGM is not part of religion. Why use religion as an excuse to mutilate girls? God is the same one who created us perfect and said we are complete. So why do we now want to harm our genitals? Again, there is some myths that FGM is done, to curb prostitution. There is no way a girl can become a prostitute alone. There is a man involved. So will the man accept to be castrated so that, we curb the prostitution? Why do you want to mutilate me and the man is walking freely? And for me, I always say, when it comes to period, when it comes to FGM, when it comes to child marriage, all these things are gender inequality. We are overburdening women and girls, and it's time for us to reclaim our dignity, stand and defend our rights, and say it's enough. We have voices. Let us empower others to also raise their voices. Thank you so much.
I love that. That's so powerful. I actually, just to give another voice, do you want to ask her anything? I don't want to take it over, Miss AO, but do you want to ask our guest any questions, hearing all that information? Not so much? Okay. Well, can I ask you then again, with what you said too, and going through periods, like I have a different situation. I, being younger, had to deal with like PCOS, but I have a different story. It's weird finding out how that develops, so I had a lack of it. In dealing with this situation and in clothes and in periods, do they have to, and is it only the cramping? Because I could just think about the urinary tract infections, or like, other body complications, heart complications that can be caused by that. Do you have any information on that as well?
Okay, what happens is that let me explain to you what happens. You know, with the infibulation, they have to close because the total vaginal is closed, is stitched together completely, and they leave you a narrow tiny hole for just to pass urine and all that. Right now we have a girl who cannot even urinate properly. Like she goes
That's
for short call, she has to take like more than 2 hours just peeing. So now you can imagine the hell she's going through because of
I could just think
period.
of her urethra and her urethra just to pee like the urinary tract infections. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, just my gosh.
So now you can imagine with the period, if you know what happens is that they have to stitch together and leave you with a tiny hole, and that tiny hole is not the urethra. So what they do, they
No,
stitch together
no,
completely
right.
everything. So now the urine has to flow down, have to find its way down through
The
the
urethra
tiny
out
hole
of
they
it.
left you. that's
Exactly.
why
That's
that's why there is always the recurrent infections and all that, because now you cannot wash the inside properly because it's completely sealed together. So with the periods, there is a lot of abdominal pain because now it cannot flow normally. It has been tampered with. And that's why I always say God created us perfect and He knew everything has, a role. Now we have destroyed everything and restructured everything the way we wanted. So now that means the biological flow of the period is no longer there. You have to
hmm
feel a lot of pain, abdominal pain, back aches, it's just horrible. Like when periods is coming for girls who are not married, it's just hell. When you are married, the space is reopened again. At least you can at least have your periods, but at some point until you give birth, then again when you give birth, others stitch together completely. They have to be like that all their life. So throughout you have to experience the period pains. The pain is still there. Now with the management, a lot of girls do not even know how to manage themselves when they're experiencing periods and all that. Some of them in fact feel that this should never happen, and they they want to get rid of the pains, and they give themselves to men so that they can get that path, to allow the flow of the period and all that. Unfortunately, in the process, now they get pregnant. I saw someone asking what is fistula. Do we know about
Oh.
fistula?
hmm
So I saw the
hmm
question. Fistula is something. It's like when you have a prolonged labor and the baby is trying to push itself out, then they keep on, rubbing behind, and you develop a hole. So what happens is that for the mother who has a fistula, she cannot control her urine. So the urine will come out without control. Sometimes some of them, even the feces, come from the same place, because of
hmm
the stool comes from the same place, the urine comes from the same place, and the urine is uncontrolled actually. So that's what's called fistula. And for the survivors of fistula, they really really their life is really miserable, because now you have to face double stigma. You
Yeah.
you have to face the society, which now feels you are discriminated in totality because you are thinking. I treated two women who used to wear pampers, and you cannot afford pampers every day. They have to wear pampers so that they can be able to go to town and all that. When I came to learn about it, I told them it's okay not to be okay. You have to
Right.
share your personal story. Tell me what you really want. If you want to reconstructive surgery, I can organize. I talked to some friends who are doing reconstructive surgery.
Mm.
Um, like giving back the dignity to women, and they really did the surgery for them. Today they're smiling. They no longer have to wear pampers. Like they feel they are part of the society. And these are the kind of real transformations that we really need to do for our women and girls. Let women and girls never feel less, never feel like, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. Last week, I was running an online campaign of survivors. Then some of them were sharing their stories via media, the mainstream media. Then a lady came to me and told me, Saadia, if you are airing the pain and suffering of survivors, can you also have mine? And I was like shocked. What is yours? Because I never knew she had a problem. Then she
Mm-hmm.
told me she had 4 surgeries, not
Wow.
because of delivery. The first surgery was because of delivery, but now the other 3 surgeries were reconstructive and they both failed. She developed complications during delivery because of FGM. Now she had to go through CS, cesarean section delivery. After that, she developed some complications and she has to be reoperated. Every time she goes for the operations, it's not successful. She's living with a lot of pain. Then, unfortunately, the husband divorced her. Like, seriously, the guy telling her,
No.
because you are not like recovering, let me find another one. I mean, the man you gave birth for, you have been subjected to that cesarean because of him. This FGM happened to you because of a man, because of marriageability and all that. The same man is walking away when you have problems. So it's time for women and girls to say enough, and they should take responsibility, full responsibility of what happens to their bodies.
Completely true. I just want to answer a question, and then my host wants to ask a question. But PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome. So it's a, a, a I don't even want to say a disease, but it's something that where you have a cyst that actually, and they couldn't tell me why. I'm also more into holistic care because of that, but that a cyst grow on your ovaries. So it causes for women complications in having normal periods, higher testosterone levels, you know, so on. For me, what it caused is for me to have very lengthy times without having a period. So I would go like 8 months or a year without having a period. So, like, for example, when I got pregnant with my daughter, um, I got pregnant with her in February. My period didn't happen the August the previous year, and I didn't find out about her till May of that year because I don't have normal periods. So when it did kind of start normalizing older in like my 30s, I would deal with my period like someone who's in their teens because I didn't have to deal with growing up with my period, if that makes sense. So that being said, and becoming more holistic, using things like sea moss, burdock root, and so on, I've gotten things to kind of normalize. Still have my issues, but basically, as for my age, I have an extremely high egg count. So that's also an abnormality for women. But again, for my age, I have an extremely high egg count because I don't release eggs on a monthly basis. Just to explain what PCOS is. So my host did want to have a question. So I want to give her an opportunity to speak and bring my other host back in. So go right ahead, honey.
Thank you. I want to know what the community heads and the government are doing about this. Because as we are making this more aware, about the gender mutilation, the female genital mutilation, we need them to be more involved. We need not just women in politics, we need the government, the people in power, the people that can make a change. So how do we reach out to them, especially even the community heads? Because I feel it's lack of this rights mindset and information that is causing this. It's actually in like it's not humanity at all. It's bad, it's wrong. So how could we get them involved?
I think that's to you. That's a question to you, Miss Hassan.
Okay, so let me tell you, FGM is illegal in Kenya. According to the FGM Prohibition Act 2011, it's illegal to like perform any form of FGM. It's illegal. But now again, you know, these communities are still practicing. In my community, it is 94%. It means 9 out of 10 girls have already gone through FGM. So, and FGM is irreversible. Now, even our president committed to end FGM by 2022, which is next year. But again, we have those high prevalences amongst some of the communities. The government is trying to put a lot of efforts to combat FGM. But again, it's never enough. Because as I told you, if the survivors themselves do not feel like it should end, they will still do it to their daughters. If my mother had the voice to protect me, it wouldn't have happened to me. But I have the courage to say it should never happen to my daughters. What if we have like hundreds like Saadia who say, yes, I went through FGM, but it should never happen to my daughter? I think we would have achieved a lot. Even now, people are trying to engage the men and boys to also be part of FGM ending. But again, you will find the same man who is saying no to FGM, his wife will call the grandmother, who happens to be the mother-in-law for the man. In in our African culture, a man can never argue with his mother-in-law. So what happens? Women are still doing to themselves. And this is because they lack empowerment. And I believe we really need to like empower women and girls. For example, laws alone will never end FGM, my sister. Why am I saying this? Women do not have voices because in the African context, in the African culture, women are supposed to be in the kitchen. Women are not supposed to raise their voices in front of men. All the council of elders, those are men. We don't have council of elders for women. So, my dear, the religious leaders who are leading these things are all men. Majority of them are men. Where are the religious scholars who are female? They are silent. Why? Because of patriarchy. If we really want to make sure that we end FGM, can we empower? Can we highlight? Like I want to see next studio that you have. Can we have the female religious scholars coming here? You ask them the same question. They know that FGM is not in the Holy Bible. They know that FGM is not in the Holy Quran. What are they doing in their capacity to ensure that they talk to their fellow women not to cut their girls, not to harm their girls? That if we are staunch Christians, staunch Muslims, and our religion does not allow FGM, why are we still practicing in the name of culture? Culture is something that should give us identity. The way I'm dressed right now, you will easily tell that I'm a Somali woman. I'm like a religious woman, a Muslim lady, perhaps because of the way I'm dressed. But now, how does FGM identify me right now? You cannot tell because it's done to a hidden genitalia, right? So if it's something that does not even give me identity, why should we keep on practicing to please a man who will leave me when he gets another one? It has never been justified. When I go through FGM, that this man will live with me for the rest of his life. It's not guaranteed. It's never an agreement. So why should I suffer because of someone whom I don't even have a guarantee for, that he will live with me, he will give me the happiness I deserve. He will walk away when he wants to. Then why should I remain hostage for such, a practice? Now, again, the reason as to why I'm saying we really need to give voices to the women themselves is because this grandmother is fearing that her granddaughter will never be married, will be discriminated, will be stigmatized if not subjected to FGM. But if we empower her and tell her, You have a right to your body. Whether you are cut or not cut, you will get married. A man will find you. So you don't have to harm your body for you to find a man. It's you are perfectly clean. You are perfectly okay. You are perfect. You can clean yourself with water, not because of FGM. Mutilation will never make you clean. And that's why I wrote the two books. The first one says The Hidden Scars of FGM. The second one is A New Dawn for Children. A New Dawn for Children really empowers girls. And there is a whole chapter that I tell them, you are clean with a shower. You are born perfect. No need for mutilation. Thank you. Diana, you are muted.
Look, I'm just talking. Thank you for what you said, and thank you for everyone who is saying that they're going to donate. Again, Tuna Chucky TV. Thank you. Just guys on the bottom, we are just wanted to throw out if you wanted to donate or let people know how to continue helping these families, these girls. In coming towards the end, I do love the questions, and I just want to get into explaining also the pads and why their uses. Like, for example, I myself have never used a reusable pad, right? But I do particularly love a pad called jewel pads. So if you can also explain to us, especially by a woman, because even pads, they're made by men, right? So reusable pads, understanding how to teach our girls how to make their own pads, so on and so forth. I really want to give a lane to the audience to understand what we're sending off and helping with in the actual product themselves, because it's so needed.
Hello.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to know, would those pads feel comfortable? Would the reusable pads, would they feel comfortable? Because, you know, most, the one I know about are made with clothes, cotton. So would they be fine for females?
Great
Hello.
question. Well, Mrs. Hassan, can you answer that question
Okay.
about the
I
comfortability
would
of the
like to
pad?
ask
Oh,
Mrs.
okay. She can
Sadia.
hear.
She talked about
Okay, I'm so sorry. We're just having some connection problems. But can you just answer the question about the comfortability of the pads for us?
Okay, the reusable pads are really comfortable because, in fact, it doesn't even harm, it doesn't have harm to the body. It's actually effective, and it's cost effective as well, because this girl can use a reusable pad for 2 to 3 years. So you can imagine, for the girls who come from poor backgrounds, they can use those pads. They can wash them with warm water, with soap, and it's environmentally friendly, because with the other disposable pads you have to throw them, sometimes even the plastic is all over. But with this one, it's just environmentally friendly because it's a cloth, it's cotton. It's also cool. For the other one,
Mm.
it's warm, and sometimes it's even it hurts. I don't know. But this one is more comfortable, and yeah, and more reliable, more cost effective, and it's good for the girls. Yeah.
I like that cool point. I didn't think about that. What was the question you were trying to ask before? Try to unmute and see if we got you now.
Okay, I was actually asking about the books that she talked about, which she said she has written. I would really love to know if we can get them online, perhaps purchase them online, so that we can be able to encourage some girls to read them, because I feel like they can be of great help to all of us. Thank you.
Great question. Yep.
Sorry, I was just typing something there on the chat box. So I said, visit Nuria store. You can Google Nuria store actually, and you can get my books, any of the copies. I've written there the name. So you can Google, you can shop online from Nuria store. They are there. They're readily available from the Nuria store. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to drop that in the comments for our audience as well, so they can get that as well, so they can Google. The different materials, I always wondered, could this be made out of a hemp material?
Okay, for those who make the pads, I don't make the pads. In fact, I really want to train them. I want to like try and train girls from my county to know how to like make the reusable pads. But for those who make it, I don't know what kind of materials they use. Perhaps when I have them on board and they come train my girls, I will be able to share the kind of
Okay.
materials they use. But for now, I've just had, the pads and donated to the girls. But they are 100% cotton, and
Mm-hmm.
it can sustain them for 2 to 3 years. It's really user friendly, girls friendly. It's really cool.
How many would one individual need? Like, would you think to sustain for a good solid? They're reusable. So, how many does a woman need for 6 months, for example? Whatever.
Okay, for the reusable one, for one girl, I always give her like one bag. I think I
Mm-hmm.
can share maybe later with the organizer
Yeah.
uh, a photo. There is one bag. Inside it has two pants.
Mm-hmm.
It has a soap. So the soap is not long lasting, but it's something that to tell them that you need the soap, you know. And I
Right.
have to
Right.
teach them. I have some sessions with them to teach them on how they can fix, the pads with the pants and all that. So what happens is that you have the one that is attached to the pant, then you
Mm-hmm.
have the two that you fix in, like the top that should hold the blood.
Mm-hmm.
For those who have heavy blood flow, then they can have at least 2 to 3 layers so that it doesn't leak.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to change after every 6 hours, like from morning, during lunchtime they can go change, so they have another one to change with. And there is a small bag where they can now put in the one that has been used. So when they go home, they have their soap, they remove from their bag, they wash it with warm water, then put it outside to dry. I always advise them not to put under the bed, how
Right.
girls. Yeah. So you have to teach them completely how they can actually ensure that they are also clean, they don't smell, they have to take a shower, good shower, because there is some myth that girls are being told during menstrual hygiene you don't have to take a shower. Some myths. So for
Yeah.
me, I tell them clean yourself thoroughly. Every time, clean yourself. Make
Can
sure that you change. Yeah. Okay.
Can you actually just, in our last moments, just throw out some myths that you hear that you just want to debunk real quick for our girls, for our audience, for people even like me who was older but dealing with it kind of weirdly. Just a quick shootout of myths that we could just debunk real quick.
Okay, there are some myths that some of the myths is that one that you should never take
Yep.
a shower when you have periods.
Take a
Another one,
shower.
yeah, another one is that when you meet men or a man, you know, the blood flow will increase. I don't know where that came from. Yes,
Wow, really? Wow, I
like
never heard
it
that.
comes out. I don't know. So some of the girls have to remain indoors. Like then again, there is another myth that you don't have to touch the Quran for the Muslims. Another one is that you're not supposed to cook. Another one is that you are not supposed to comb your hair. A lot of myths.
Yeah. Wow, I've never heard of those. A lot of, and also, and girls, I want you to ask questions too as we end, but I do want to wonder can you give us a really good technique on removing stains? Because we all have that problem with our underwear. You know what I mean? You had that really cute underwear pair and your period came and you're mad. You know what I mean? Do you have any really good like techniques on getting stains out of the underwear which we don't want to throw out?
Okay, what happens is that most of the time it's good when you are changing your pad, you also change your pants. These things go along. And also you should know the kind of flow you have. There are others who have thick blood flow. There are others who, you know, have that leakage always. So what happens is that once you see there is a stain, just remove your pant. You can soak it in a warm water. Then later you don't have to start, you know, washing. You can just first let go of the first water. Then you start now using your soap and the warm water to wash your pants. Trust me, it is the best way to like. And you know the what do you call, the warm water also kill germs and infections and all that, bacterial infections and all that. So it's the best way to keep your hygiene and to keep you going. Most of the time it's always good to use warm water to even clean yourself during menstrual periods. Yeah.
Ladies, you want to ask anything else to our wonderful guest? No.
Okay, I want to say whatever the myths might be, we ladies should disregard them and just get to know what works for us. You know, like growing up, I had myths of if you meet with a man while you're having period. Okay, I had to meet. Okay, if you meet with a man while you're having your period, you're going to get pregnant. Like get pregnant. And now was when you meet with a man, it's going to reduce the pain. But honestly, neither of them were true. Neither of them were true because the ovulation has passed and the period pain is still there. So we should just get to know what works for us individually as girls, not just subject to the culture and religious something. And another thing I want to put across is we should also be conscious of food. You know, I hear of people that when they drink sweet things, it's going to make the pain more. I don't know. For me, I've observed myself for months, and anytime I eat, what I can eat whatever during my period, either sweet or sour, whatever. It's just fine by me. But some people that could influence their period, so we should also be conscious of what we eat. You know, what we hear and all.
I 100% agree. A lot of my life changed with what I told you, with what I ate. And I just, again, want you to take us out because you are our guest. This is your lane. You know this best of all. Tuna Checky TV, thank you for being a part of this again. For our followers, please follow the stroll under and see where you can donate to us. We have raised about £1,000. I think it was also in US dollars, about over 100 in funds. But we want to be able to send these girls starting in Tanzania with these reusable pads, and hopefully islands like my own. Again, another heartfelt love to my country, Haiti. You had to deal with another earthquake. We love you. But there are many of the diaspora of our young girls that need these pads that we can help, but we're starting in Tanzania. So again, as we scroll and the information's down below on how to send us, please take us out, our guests, on you know, the myths, the understanding, but proclaiming our dignity as women when it comes to our menstruation.
And first of all, thank you so much for having me today. One thing that I really want to tell women and girls out there, not just even menstrual hygiene. First of all, know that you are not a woman by accident. You are a woman because you deserve to be a woman. And God chose you to be a woman. And that is not by accident, not by chance, not by choice. You are a woman, and that's what you are. First, accept yourself and be proud of yourself. From there, secondly, you have to own your body. Own your body. Your body do not belong to the society. It doesn't belong to your community. Your body is yours. It's your, you have a right to your body. So can we reclaim our dignity and say that we all have to ensure that we protect ourselves from female genital mutilation, we protect ourselves from child marriages, we protect ourselves from teenage pregnancies. When period happen, it's a God-given gift. It's something that is powerful. Embrace it and make sure that you clean yourself, humble yourself, never panic. Make sure that you are always clean. Cleanliness makes a woman complete, makes a woman perfect. Periods should never make you vulnerable. Run to men for pads. No. You should always know how to protect your dignity without becoming victim just because of period. Period is something that should make you complete. No woman is complete without the periods. So embrace it and feel proud. In fact, you should smile. I'm a woman. I'm an African woman, to be precise. Yes. Thank you so much.
And on that, we thank you all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Share this, tell your family. You all know a woman who's either experiencing, going through periods, or will go through periods. This is not just a woman's story. If you love us too, help us, help our young girls. We thank you. We'll be back next month with another show. Please follow us on our major platforms, social media, which is a Facebook, Instagram. We're going to try to make ourselves more readily available to you guys so you can get to know us. This is important. This is real. This is a program we're taking out throughout the year, and hopefully even further to make sure we get these proper sanitation napkins to our girls so they are clean, they are wholesome, they are not even wholesome. I don't want to say it that way, but you know what I mean. They don't have to manipulate their values just to get something that's God given to them. So with that, I thank you all. I thank my hosts. I thank my panelists. I thank my guests, and I thank our audience. And to that, I really, really like our videos. So I'm going to let us go with that. Thank you and take care. Say bye, everyone.